Yeah, I just did it. I just converted to Fahrenheit. And I was like 104 degrees. That's what 40 degrees
You were
Celsius.
sick.
All right.
Glad
Thank
you're
you,
feeling
James,
better.
for being here. I know. So I was saying. All right. Let the people in. Let's have some fun. Yeah, I'm gonna awkwardly wait until I get waves from everybody who's got their videos on. So far it's been Alex and Elion. There you go, Tyler. Thank you. Look at this. This is what
Waving.
Oddity always waves. She's stud. This is what we do when we like each other. We wave, we say hi, we smile when we see each other. You know, human things, friend things. Tyler's exercising. He's like trying to show off over there. So get my fitness on. No big deal. Good to see some beautiful faces on here today. Some familiar faces, a couple new faces. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up, Logan?
How you doing, my friend?
Good.
What's up, Mike Hall? Good to see you. Jessica, Brian, Renee, two Jessicas. Get it. Well, Brian's gonna be taking phone calls now. No big deal. Mr. Popular over here. Amazing. Well, thank you guys for
still
on here.
Business hours here in California.
I know.
That's true.
We're still transacting, so.
It's awesome. Thank you guys for again giving us your most valuable resource, your attention, and don't take it lightly. And we have some really cool things planned for today. And if you guys were here last week, hopefully you guys were back because we hopefully at least delivered, maybe even over delivered on our promise for last week. And this week is going to be even better. So if you thought last week was cool, this week maybe even better. I'm not going to talk as long, so you guys are going to hopefully get a little more active in the chat. We'll answer more questions. Last time we didn't get to all the questions, but I did go through the chat the very next day, and I've been making videos for everyone who did ask questions that didn't get answered. So that's my intention, is to get all the questions answered, whether I do them or whether I also saw so many of the leaders in here were answering the questions in the chat, which is amazing too. That's actually even more valuable. Like, if you guys are going to wait on me for answers, like, you'll be severely disappointed. Like, don't wait on me for anything ever. You'll be disappointed. Katie can attest to that. If you guys like, Katie will ask me to do something, I'm like, it depends what it is, in all fairness. But I just have this like natural resistance to being told what to do. And so asking depends on how you ask, right? But man, I just have this like, I don't know what it is. It's definitely a character problem for sure. I got to figure it out. But waving, so funny. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna be talking about, we're gonna go in a little bit more detail about the vision meeting last week. Some of you guys got access to the recordings last week, and hopefully you guys will be going through some of those. And I think when you have a frame of reference of what something is, then start to actually ask questions on it. And so that was my goal for last week, is to get you guys, so you have a frame of reference, like, what does a vision mean? Like, what does that mean? It's just a name at this moment. But once you start going through it, like, oh, and you go through 2 or 3, you start to see some consistencies, some similarities, and then you're like, oh, there's some things I don't understand, and that's where you have questions. And so that's what I'm hoping to kind of resolve here today a little bit, is if you guys have questions on vision meeting specifically, answer some of those so we can solve some connections. And towards the end of this call, I'm going to do something really cool. Is I'm going to give you guys in here, only you guys on here, again, showing love for you guys for actually being on here live, because seriously, it would be very awkward if it was just me and Katie on here. Maybe it would actually be really awkward, just me and Katie and like Jessica and Renee. We'd just all be hanging out, and like they'd be like, they would feel awkward because we would just be asking them questions and drilling them, and be like, stop. Yeah, we're going to give away 6 weeks of free visionary coaching to not just one of you guys, but multiple of you guys. I'm going to explain a little bit how we're going to do that. So that's going to be pretty fun. So make sure you stay on because in order to apply for it, there's only going to be one link, and that link is nowhere. I just literally made the link up today. So it's nowhere on the internet. It's not in the masterclass. It is going to be on this Zoom call. So definitely stick around, wait for that. And then another really cool bonuses too is that I created a new vision sheet. And so just like anything, this is always, we're always like Katie says this very, very well. It's like, this is a version 1.0. Like anytime we create a new system or new process, we create a new position, it's like, this is just version 1.0. And after we use it, we realize the shortcomings, we realize the flaws, and then we make an updated version. And so you guys are getting version 2.0 of the vision sheet today. So again, this is not in the masterclass either. A couple of, I've sent this out to a couple people who are doing who I'm doing the vision coaching with right now. But outside of that, this new vision coaching sheet has not been given to anybody to this point. So you guys will get first access to this new vision coaching sheet. And what's even better than the previous vision coaching sheet is that there's walkthrough videos on how to find all these numbers, which I think is even the most valuable piece of it. So there's a tutorial video of how to use the vision sheet. So whether you get the opportunity to actually do the vision coaching with me, or whether you do this just on your own, like there's videos on showing you exactly where to find the numbers. And so you can start to build your own vision sheet. And that's the goal of this, is for us to teach you how to fish. And it's nice to have somebody fish for you, but that's never been my intention with this. I refuse for anyone in here to be dependent on me. Again, like, don't wait on me for anything. Don't wait for me to take action. Yes, don't do it, because you'll be disappointed if you wait on me for anything. My goal is simply to teach you how to fish, right? And point you in the direction to get the resource you need to gain the skill. Because sure, maybe I could help you solve a problem in a moment, but I'd rather give you the solution for you to acquire skill that will solve that problem for the rest of your life. And then once you solve that problem, you actually can go solve new problems. You can go acquire new skills, right? It's like there's so many different skills that we need to piece together to acquire one trait, right? That's all it is. Like, this is actually funny because what I've kind of learned through this whole process, some of you guys who have come to the deck in the day, I give everyone this binder, this folder, and there's different concepts in there. There's different processes in there, and one of the things we talk about are traits, beliefs, and skills, right? And so what I've kind of realized is that a character trait, right? A character trait of being persistent, being consistent, having integrity, like those are just micro skills. Like there's just a bunch of micro skills pieced together to create a big trait that we call persistent. So to me, that's why it's like, even if I give you, or I teach you one skill, like you just have learned one skill to then give yourself the attention, the bandwidth to learn the next skill, to eventually have the character trait of being consistent or being persistent, or whatever the trait is that we're currently focused on. So I think if we can just look at life, and especially in this regard, specifically to business, as a really great opportunity vehicle for us to learn skill sets and do it in a way that we get to feed our families, and we get to serve our communities, like just a bonus, right? But ultimately, the number one asset in your business is you. So yeah. So anyway, again, this call is for you guys. This is 100% for you. For you guys to ask questions, to get answers. Business. Last time we talked a lot about, we had some marriage questions, which was great. We had a couple parenting questions. Amazing. Yeah, if you guys, again, we had a couple questions on business that were not specifically cleaning related. Amazing, right? I don't know if we had real estate questions last time, but maybe I think the time before we had some real estate questions. But yeah, so that's what we have so far. And like, we can continue to answer those questions, or we can answer new questions. And I said it last week, but again, we need to say things 10 times before someone hears us one time. Like, we are not experts. We don't claim to be experts in all these things, or any of these things for that matter. We just will share with you our experience, and we'll give you a frame which to make your own decisions from. Katie and I's goal is never to tell you what to do. It's never to say, do this, do that, exactly. We just want to give you a reference point, give you perspective of why we did what we did. And if it helps you, amazing. And gets you a little bit further down the road, cool, right? But Katie, is the way that we do business the only way that people can do business?
No.
Oh, right. So when you hear us talk about, like, we only do W-2 employees versus 1099, does that mean that you have to do W-2 employees? Yeah. Just because we do solo cleans and you do team cleans, does that make you a bad person? No. Okay. So we'll give you the reference of why we do what we do, and that's it. And just take it. Like, like there is no wrong or right. Like, it's funny because some of you guys might have heard of the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Trevor Kashi. If you guys don't know who he is, sorry, James. I know I didn't tell you this, but we go find Trevor's his Instagram that we can drop it in here. So Dr. Trevor Kashi he is the smartest person I personally know, which doesn't really mean anything because I don't really know a ton of smart people, I guess, but he's the smartest person I know. And he's just somebody you guys would be a good opportunity for you guys to follow him and be able to, like, see some of his wisdom. He helps Alex, like, write his books. Like, he's Alex's person who edits all his books and things like that. He was the person who helped me with my diabetes when I got diagnosed in 2018. He was the person who I reached out to and said, hey, I have this problem. Can you point me in the right direction? And he said, let me help you. And so that was my initial point where I got to meet Dr. Kashi. And he was the one who taught me this idea of, like, there is no, like, black or white. There is no 0-1. Like, everything is on a continuum. Everything's on a scale. And where I learned that was through diabetes. And so if you guys have not heard of, if you guys have any reference on diabetes, there's basically two types of diabetes. You have a type 1 diabetic and you have a type 2 diabetic. So a type 2 diabetic is the most common type of diabetes, and it is generally lifestyle induced, right? It could be overweight, it could be lack of exercise, it'd be a combination of both, but generally type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle condition, which means that if you change your lifestyle, you lose weight, you exercise, you take pressure off your pancreas, then it works again. Okay, really simple. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. Okay, and your body, it literally kills your pancreas. It's like, think about your pancreas just sitting there, like snuggled up next to your liver, in between your stomach, and all of a sudden it just like your body just like turns on and starts shooting it, and it just like has nothing to defend itself, right? And it just dies. Okay, that's what type 1 diabetes is, and it's dead. And so why the pancreas specifically is so important is because every time you eat, the pancreas releases insulin into your body, which brings your blood sugars back down. So like when you guys eat any food, but in particularly carbohydrates, your body spikes, like your blood sugar spike. Okay, so if you guys want to, like, type your favorite candy bars specifically, in the chat, right? So if you guys like Reese's peanut butter cups, like Snickers, like every time you eat a Reese's, like all of a sudden your blood sugar will spike, right? It'll go from what is average, like about 100, and it could spike to like 150 to 200, right? And depending on how much you eat it, it could continue to spike even more. And insulin comes from your pancreas, which brings that blood sugars back down. Okay, so there's a little bit of math, a little bit of science behind, like, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So me, very fortunate, at 29 years old, almost 30, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Right? Pancreas dead. And so Dr. Kashi, he helped me understand the process of like how to live with diabetes, but not just how to live with it, not how to get by, but how to flourish and how to make it so it's something that I barely think about. And he equated it to like, because my whole goal is like, I want to get rid of diabetes, right? I want to conquer it, I want to defeat it, I want to cure it. I like how you do like with cancer or some sort of other disease, right? He's like, first off, you don't cure cancer and you don't cure diabetes, right? But right now, Logan, you're about a 9 on the scale of being a diabetic. So you're a 9 diabetic. It's like, let's just get you to an 8. Then let's just get you to a 7. And let's get you to a 6. Let's get you to a 5. Right. And so once I understood, like once he helped me break my belief on without diabetes, like, okay, it wasn't about like me having diabetes or not. It's just like, how diabetic am I? It's like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. So then I started applying that to almost like every other thing that I tried to label myself with. I was like, well, it's not whether I'm strong or not strong. It's just like, how strong am I? You know, it's not if I'm happy or not happy, like how happy am I? Right. It's not if I'm, you know, if I'm disciplined. It's just like, how disciplined am I? Right. And we're able to understand that we can move either way. Right. Because when we say we're not something, we ultimately put the brakes on. We say, okay, we are not going to be disciplined. We are not a people person. We're not a salesman. Right. It's not whether you're a salesman or not a salesman. It's not whether you're a business owner or not a business owner. It's like, how much of a business owner are you? Right. And if you wanted to put an adjective before that, how much of a, a consistent business owner are you? Right. How persistent of a business owner are you? Right. And you could just, then all of a sudden you give yourself a place that you can work from. Right. So ultimately you put a number to it. And that is like one of the values of what the vision sheet does is every single week we take numbers, revenue. Okay. We have a goal and we say our goal is $100,000 and we're at $80,000. And so the difference between those two things is $20,000. So what do we got to do? What do we got to do to close the gap on that? Okay. As you guys get access to the vision sheet, which we will drop here shortly, you'll see all the KPIs that are in here, and specifically the ones that you need to measure every single week in order for you to predict whether your business is going to grow. Now, there's people in here who don't run cleaning businesses, so is it going to be exact for your business if you don't run a cleaning business? Absolutely not, right? But instead of the KPI being what's the revenue per clean, it's going to be the revenue per whatever your service is, revenue per session, revenue per whatever it is that you do, right? But the important thing is that we just have a number to start from, and you can understand that like it's not whether you are successful or not successful, it's just how successful are you, right? And when you attach a number to that, it's just boom, is what it is. It's just data. But we can get better. We can move that number up or down. Okay. So that's really the value that I learned from Dr. Kashi, and like one of the smartest people on the freaking planet. And like that little shift right there was so pivotal for me. And I hope that at least one of you guys can start to ask that question when you start to like try to see things as like there's no right or wrong answers. It's just what would get me in the position to get closer to what I want to get to. Which one of these decisions is going to put me on the path that most likely is going to allow me to reach whatever your big target is up here, whether that's a revenue goal, whether it's a profit goal, like something you need to also understand as well. Like, what is the goal, right? Part of the vision sheet is the goals. And so the people who come out to Deck in a Day, like I see a couple of you guys on here, like how much time do we actually spend talking about goals and getting clarity? Like go ahead and drop that in the chat. I think most people are like, every single person comes to Deck in a Day, like that's always the thing. When I ask for feedback, they're always like that's the thing that people love the most, because it's the thing that's unexpected that they get the most value from, right? It's like somebody sits you down and says, I'm forcing you to think about what you want in your life. Like, dang it. And you do it and you're like, oh, this is pretty fun. This is pretty cool, actually, right? And I think I know how to get there. I think that if I actually know what I want, then I can actually mathematically work it back from where I am right now, and all of a sudden I can actually see a path. Wow, it's pretty crazy, right? So again, one of the most valuable parts of the vision sheet is actually going to the exercise of knowing what your targets are. Like, what are you going for? Okay. So how many of you guys actually went through the vision sheet last week? the vision recordings. Did any of you guys actually start to knock down on some of those? Yeah. See some hands raised. Awesome. Somebody was it was Lucas. Someone looks today, and he was asking about one of our cleaning techs who ascended up to a manager, and he was asking questions about her. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry to spoil the sitcom for you. And then I gave a little update on kind of where she was. And I was like, it's almost like a reality show. Like, you guys get to like literally see like a reality show of where we were a year ago and where we are now, and like see the people who are still here, some of the people who are not here anymore. And ultimately, the only people that are like have been consistent the whole way through is Katie and I, right? And so I think the most important thing to understand that, to look at that, if you when you guys start to go through that and see in our business that your business is going to be very similar. Like, you're gonna have people that you love that will be with you, and then eventually they will go. Some will stay, most will go, but the only thing that's going to be consistent is you, right? Yeah, that was like it was funny because I didn't think about this like a reality show, but if you guys want to see the reality show Bows on 5-star cleaning, it starts with the vision meeting, and you can see not only the progress, but you can see the conversation, you see the people. And here's the cool part. Like, the really cool part is that like you guys saw us go from 30 or 40,000 or 50,000. I'm not sure exactly where we were at. I guess it's probably 30,000 to 100,000. But you guys have access to that folder. Like, I just uploaded one yesterday. And Katie, was it a good one?
It was a great one. It was over an hour.
Yeah, it was heated. There was confrontation. There was like, ooh, it was good, right? And lately, that's been a lot of our vision meetings have been. There's been crying. There's been confrontation. There's been freaking problems, which I love, right? Like, let's go solve some freaking problems. And like, it's cool that you guys are gonna, like, you guys already have access to that. So actually, so if you guys weren't on here last week, here's another cool bonus. If you guys aren't here this week, we're gonna drop the link in here again. So James, if you'll be an amazing human that you are, will you drop that link for the vision meeting recordings? So if you guys didn't get access to it last week, you're lucky. Here we go. This week, get access to it. And so those are the vision meeting recordings. And again, you guys will see all the meetings already in there, but like, I continue to stick all the meetings going forward. And so like, you guys will also get to be a part of the journey along for the ride when you guys see us go from 1 million to 1.5 million, to 1.5 million to 2 million, right? And see the problems that we face along the way. And like, when you guys are ready for that, like, I don't know if Kayla's on here, but Kayla will be on there soon. A couple of you guys are kind of knocking on the door already, that 50, 60,000 a month mark. Like, you guys will see some of the problems we're going to. That way you can basically forecast in your business by learning from somebody who's already gone through those. So another really cool thing I didn't think about is that you guys have access to it going forward as well. So that's pretty cool, right? And we definitely have new problems right now than we did even a couple months ago. So we're currently solving them. We're working through it. And like, we're doing it like any other entrepreneur does. Like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. Full transparency.
Don't tell them that.
James, don't tell anybody else that. Like, I think James is the only one that's on our team right now. So don't tell anybody else that, James. And we don't. I mean, if we knew how to get to 2 million, then we would already done it. But have we got to 2 million before? Right. Just like you guys are sitting in your businesses right now, you're at 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000, and you want to get to 1 million. Like, if you knew how to do it, you would already be there. Those are the facts. You don't know how to get there yet. Right? Yet. So, yeah. So again, make sure you guys click that link for the vision meeting recordings, and yeah. All right. So questions. I don't know if we have any questions, Katie. Should I just keep talking, or?
Nope,
You guys have
but
questions? So,
Nicolaitis is in the house.
yeah. If you guys have questions, last week we raised hands, I think. So we can raise hands again, or we can just take questions from the chat, whatever everyone's feeling on. But
All right, we have one.
we have one. Okay. What do you guys want to do?
Jessica.
Do you get, hold on one second.
Okay.
Do you guys want to raise hands, or do you guys want to just post in the chat?
I don't mind to just ask my question.
Yeah, well, I know you're good. All right, let's raise hands. Yeah, like old sub 2 style, right? Last we had a bunch of good raised hands. Okay, so Jessica, before I get to you, we'll get to you. Thank you. Look at that. See,
There you go.
this is why I love Jessica. She's just like easy to work with. Just easy to work with, right? So, okay, this is actually great. So one of the bonuses that we're giving away is the vision meeting is coaching. So like I'll literally be working with you. So like full transparency. Like I want to work with people who ask questions. I want to work with people who actually give a shit about their businesses. Like people who are like swimming with, who want to come with me rather than like I'm pull you with you. Like I ain't gonna be pulling you. Like if I'm gonna do this for free, like you're gonna already be swimming. Cool. So if that's something you guys are interested in and you guys want that, like start swimming, right? And the easiest way to start swimming is to be active, ask questions, be brave, right? Because like ultimately the only way I actually help you is if you actually can ask the question that's uncomfortable, thing that makes you think that you might feel silly, like ask the question. So anyway, now we got some hands raised. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So, okay. Jessica,
Yes.
please.
All right.
What's the question?
Yeah, so you know our business pretty well. We've in the last couple months finally actually made a decent profit where I don't feel like we have to keep it in our business account. And so like that's huge. Like
You all those claps? Is everyone clapping? Yeah. Everyone give her some loves. Give her
Thank
some
you.
loves.
It's
Yeah.
been 12 years. So I mean, before I was solo cleaner, I was making money, it was all good. But once we transitioned to having cleaners, it was like no money for 2 years. So anyways, we're making money now. Thank you so much, Logan and Katie, for the clarity you guys gave us, because it was solely because of that. I mean, Logan will say no because we're the ones doing the work, but ultimately without the game plan and without the systems that he introduced us to, we would not have been able to be here today saying that we're making profit, which is like incredible to me. So now Logan or Lucas and I are having conversations about like, do we take out a percentage? Like, how do we decide how much profit to be taking personally? And I think the answer to the question might be, well, first, obviously total all the expenses you need to cover. And if you can take that, take that. But then once you start to surpass the profit of what you need, what do you like, how do you decide what to do with that?
Yeah. So 2 things. Number 1 is like persistence, right? That's the only thing I can think of the whole time is just like been in business 12 years, last 2 years of like not taking any profits out of the business and still in the game.
Mhm.
Persistence, right? Like continuing to figure out how to keep playing the game long enough to learn the skill sets, find the way to eventually make this thing take off, and like all of a sudden you have this hockey stick moment where all of a sudden it's like things are like it almost just seems like it's getting easy. Super weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's number 1 thing. Number 2 thing that like you have new problems. Like what sort of problem would you rather have? The problem where now I have money in the business. I don't know when to take it out, how much to take out, what I should do with it, or like I don't have any money and I can't pay rent, or I can't pay my bills, or I gotta go back and clean, or I gotta go back and do sales because I can't afford to have a person in that role. Like what problems do you want to have?
Definitely the
Right.
first.
And that's what, you know, in my experience, that's what business is just trading up new problems. Like you always will have problems. And again, like that's what we get paid for as entrepreneurs, is to solve problems. And so like these are the type of problems that are more fun. And but in order to have these problems, you must also have the other problems first, right?
Yep.
So now with all that being said, I'm gonna actually default this to Katie because Katie's the one who manages our money. Like I like this is Katie's area of expertise. And so I'm gonna hand this over to Katie to kind of explain exactly what we do, because as far as I know, I have no idea. I'm just making money. That's all I'm trying to do. And she's coming behind me and she's trying to keep as much as we can before I try to go spend some more of it. So
Yeah. And I think my first response is it totally depends on what season you're in. First,
so what are
we
the seasons then,
extracted.
Katie? Which is great. So like if you say seasons, like describe a couple of seasons that you've experienced. That way maybe people can bucket themselves before you give like advice to like if you're in this season, then do this. But what are the
Yeah,
seasons
so
first?
first season is like the ladder that Logan explained. So you're struggling to even get by and like pay rent and you just like can't even extract money out. You're just like frantically trying to pinch every penny that you have and budget and not bust anything, right? That time you really can't take anything out of the business anyways, but you're trying to, it's just survival. You're just like literally fighting for your life to get above water. Once you get above water, there is a season where you can extract money from the business in a responsible manner. So Logan's told the story of when he coached in gym launch and all of a sudden he was making astronomical amounts of sales. The gym was blowing up. We had hundreds of clients at the gym. We were like making it rain in terms of cash flow. It was insane. We watched some of our fellow gym owner buddies like go to the moon with this cash. Like they were buying fancy cars, fancy watches, Louis Vuitton shoes, and just like,
or so like not even like, here was the dumb shit they were buying, more equipment for their gym. That was actually the dumb stuff they were buying. All that stuff was dumb. But like, yes, we all know that stuff is dumb, but like they were buying, like they were reinvesting back in like equipment that didn't make them any more money. They were just like, oh yeah, I want a nicer squat rack, or I want a nicer barbell. And they would like buy things that didn't actually, it would literally like you guys, like be like us going through and like, I want a $4,000 vacuum instead of a $400 vacuum. Because now I got money.
yeah.
Right. Anyway.
And to the contrary, we kept our living expenses extremely low. Same amount as when we were pinching pennies and budgeting everything, which set us up for success a year later when we bought our first piece of investment property, which is like ultimately the end goal and the end game is true financial freedom, which in my opinion, I am not an expert, but in my opinion is really only withheld in real estate.
Yeah.
So that's a second phase. So like first you have to learn how to, that's actually the second and third phase. First, you have to learn how to make the money.
Right.
Now you're here. Now we have to learn how to save the money. So yes, extract money, but don't do dumb shit with it. Put it in a place that you make a plan for that money. Then you need to learn how to multiply the money, which is either back in your business or into real estate. And then the final one is Logan loves, this is like what everybody wants to do first is make money matter. And that's where the game really begins, is when you get to truly change people's lives and make money matter. So it depends on honestly, like what season or phase you are in of making money, but if the business is doing well and the business is growing and you're able to cover all of your expenses with what's left, like we strip everything and we put it into a savings. We learn how to save money and then we roll that into, for us, it's real estate investing. For everybody else, it might be something different, but the true game, like we also, I don't know how to phrase this, but now that we have forward rolled a lot of money, we can start playing the game of like buying the stupid shit again. And we bought stupid shit a while back and it was really stupid and we got rid of it all. So it's a game, and it's a game that you think you want to play and then you play it and then you're like, oh, that really wasn't that fulfilling or fun.
Right. It's better when you just dream about it, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because you can get those same feelings when you dream about it that it is in reality. So you're almost like, oh, I dreamed about it and I felt that. Now I'm not feeling as excited as I wanted to be when I got this. That's a phenomenal question, but that's what we have done. And it's definitely put us in a place to be financially free, truly, and be able to snowbird or do whatever we want, whenever we want, with whoever we want.
Yeah.
So that's been our formula.
Okay. I'm definitely going to go back and take notes on that. But one question I wanted to ask and follow up is, you said strip all of the money out. So do you mean like you're stripping all of the profit out of your company and just putting it elsewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So what would you say is a good float to have within your company account?
That's a great question. And it varies where you're at. Right now, our float is about $25,000. Like I won't let the account dip below 25,000. Because that can cover payroll for a week until more money comes in, and that can cover a credit card expense for all the softwares and everything that we pay for. We don't let it go below 25, but it started at probably 10 and it's grown as our top line grows.
So is there like an expense that you can equate to that, Katie? Is our expenses 10,000? Is that why we kept that 10,000 in there? What, like, if you were to actually equate it to a number that can scale?
That's a good question. So I would probably do $5,000 plus whatever your weekly payroll is, plus your monthly expenses
Okay. Sounds good.
with a $5,000 cush.
It's
Yeah.
always a preference. Like, everyone has different fears and securities around money, right? So that's where it's like, yes, like I see people in there, like they have like a 2-month expense, or 1 month expense, or 3 months expenses. Like, yes, like all those things can work, right? You need some sort of cushion. That's all, right? So you just need a framework to work off. You need a system, and then whatever the profits are, like make sure that you strip profits. Like basically have a place that you pull the money out, put in a different account, preferably something that you don't touch, maybe you don't even see, you forget about it, and you're back to square one again. Because the moment that you have a lot of money in the bank, someone like, oh, I'm good. I'll just not take the sales call. We don't have to work that hard this week. And it's more, again, that's where like we as the entrepreneurs more often than not sabotage our success more than we than the market sabotages it, or that's basically it right there. Like we sabotage our success more than the market sabotages our success. So
Thank you. That
But-
was
for sure.
Okay.
And just to put it in a little perspective too, like you're what I would consider a stable business. So that makes sense for stable business. If you're a startup, you're just getting started, like you're not going to strip anything out. You're just like you're going to get to stability. What does stability look like? Define what stability looks like. Like have a goal of what stability looks like, right? It could be 20,000, it could be 50,000. Like again, this is where this is truly what's important, is that our business is not stable at 100,000 because our goal is 2 million. So for us, it's like we're not, like we do pull some profits out, like we strip things out, but we're not focused on being profitable. Like we're focused on growth, right? And I think Oya was Audit E. She was out here last week. So if you guys see her name right here, she'll come on here. Audit E. Okay, I said her name was Audie for a long time, and then she got out here and she corrected me. I was like, dang, thank you for correcting me. But Audit E. Beautiful name, and you got to say it a bunch of times. Like I'm gonna call on somebody here, so make sure you guys practice. Audit E. I'm gonna call on Brian. I think Brian's one who's nodding. He's like I can get this. But I'm gonna call one of you guys just on the spot to see if you can actually pronounce her name. But anyway, going off topic here. What was I talking about? I have no idea. Seasons, yeah. So seasons, managing money. Oh, startups. Yeah. So if you're in a startup phase, like you're just trying to get to stable, right? Like trying to get to stable. And this is something that specifically for the people that have come to Deck and Data who are startups, like I want to say this over and over again, because I did a terrible job of saying when you guys were here, is like make sure that your business is positive in 30 days. It's positive like right away. Like there's no reason for you guys to be spending money on marketing if you're going negative. Okay. So like there's so many free outlets out there, like the service, like people want the service, so don't go negative, right? The point of the marketing and the ad spend is to be able to scale it, right? But in the beginning, we're just working. Like we're getting momentum going, and the best way you keep momentum is to stay positive. And I mean that in the attitude standpoint, but I really mean it in the accounting. Like you need to make more money than you spend, and you can do that in 30 days. Like within 30 days, you should be able to get your initial capital back or close to it, right? If you can't do it in 30 days, do it in 6 days. Can't do it in 6 days, do 90 days. Can't do 90 days, do 120 days. Can't do 120 days, do it in 150 days. Can't do 150 days, do 180 days. But that is your goal. Okay, your goal is to be positive. Cool. Everyone who's just starting their businesses, does that make sense? Okay. And then yeah, Kitty, thank you for that. And I put in the chat, guys, what Kitty just said. So it's making money is a season. Kitty said savings. I think it's just like the aims make more sense to me. Manage money. So make money, manage money, multiply money, and then make money matter, right? I stole that from, I forget what his name is. I'll think of his name later, but that was his thing. So I stole from him, but make money, manage money, multiply money, and make money matter. So just understand what season you're in. And again, Katie said that we use real estate as a way to multiply money. There's other ways. So if you have a different strategy, that's really cool. That's just the one that we use. But managing money, everybody can do that. Multiply money, you choose make money matter. Again, everyone has a choice on how you make money matter. So thank you, Jessica, for being the brave soul. Always asking questions.
Thank you to you guys. You guys are the best.
Yeah. Okay. Nick, are you still here? I just see your beautiful face, but I don't want to show your video anymore. All right. We'll wait on Nick. Steph is next. Steph, what's up, girl?
Hey, how's it going?
Amazing. How are you doing?
Good, really good. Totally throwing myself to the wolves again
Yeah.
with my sales. I did a lot of what you suggested, offloading a bunch of my tasks, but I'm still doing my sales, and I've got leads coming in. Do you want my numbers? I know you're probably going to ask me.
Of course.
I've spent $708 for 57 leads, so about $12 a lead. 19 calls booked, and I've closed 3.
Okay.
My issue is the conversion. Not my issue, my opportunity is the conversion.
So you had 19 scheduled. Did all 19 of those show?
Those are the 19 that I spoke to.
Okay. And then how many did you book from those 57?
3.
No. So
how many calls?
So $708 spent.
Yep.
57 leads.
Correct.
How many booked? So there's
25. 25.
25.
Yeah.
Cool. 25 booked, 19 actually talked to, and then closed 3 out of the 19.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, we know what the number is, right? I think we know what the big drop off is. But before we even get to that, 3, how much initial revenue was on those 3 cleans?
1,257.
Interesting. Okay. So how many of you guys just got value from just like hearing those numbers? Like for real. Okay. So here's what's awesome stuff is that, and I know this from experience, by the way, is that like when we're in it, we're just like, so like, I want help. And then by giving the data, giving the numbers, like, okay, now I can get help. And even when you said it, you like, obviously like you knew what the big gap was.
Right.
Then there was one final question. That like,
well,
just
if I could
changed
spend
everything.
$700 and make $1,200, I would do it every day.
Okay. So we'll talk about the 19 to 3 because obviously there's room. Is there room for improvement there? Hey guys, is there room for Stephanie to improve from 3 out of 19?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. We understand that. But let me put some perspective behind it. Right. Is that you spent $708 and how much did you make on front end cash? Again, we're not talking about reoccurring. I don't know if you converted them. It doesn't matter. 1257. Okay. So you netted positive 507. And because you're the salesperson, did you pay a sales commission on those?
No.
Okay, cool.
And if I did, it would have been what, $75?
Yeah, exactly. So here's the perspective before we talk about the skill, which we will talk about the skill. Okay. Right now, you're getting paid to learn how to sell.
Right.
Have you ever gone through like a sales training course or a coach or a mentor or had somebody put you in the boiler room?
Yes. The focus at that point was on hiring. So never got into really the sales stuff.
Cool. So you never like have had a dedicated sales course, like never had like a dedicated sales course and mentor and someone who just like did calls with you every single day, who practiced rebuttals, who like your only focus was.
I mean, kind of, but the primary focus was hiring.
Cool. So you could go pay for that, or you could just continue doing what you're doing, and you could get paid $500 to learn how to sell specifically for your cleaning business. Okay. So that's cool. I should say, is that cool to you that you're getting paid $500 to go through sales training, and instead of having a course that you pay for that is money going out of your pocket, you're having money coming in and you're learning how to sell.
I guess so. When you put it that way, yes.
So that's your opportunity right now, is that you get to learn how to sell and get paid for it. Okay. Do you think sales is an important skill set to learn?
Yes.
Do you eventually want to do sales, or do you want to eventually hand off sales?
Hand it off.
Of course, right? I can tell, which is great. So, but this is your opportunity also to get proficient at sales. Do you have to become the best salesperson on the planet, Steph? Like, do you need to become a world-class closer?
No.
Okay. No, but you need to be proficient enough that you can have confidence that you can teach somebody else how to do it and hold them to a standard that is going to help you grow your business.
Yes. And that's the only reason I'm doing it, as opposed to just going straight to a salesperson.
Exactly. It's good because you understand the long game. You understand the value of the skill, right? And so that's what you're doing right now, is you're going to learn the skill set. You're going to learn the skill of selling. Now, I'm going to ask you some more tactical questions, and we're going to give you a path so you can have a clear path on how do you get better at sales, because sales is just like squatting. It's just like reading, it's just like writing. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you get at it, right? Okay, so in the sales training in the masterclass,
Mhm.
have you gone through the growth block?
No, I have not.
Okay. So the growth block is in the masterclass. So again, this is
I'll go back
my
through it.
my quick plug on the masterclass. You guys are here, you're on the masterclass.
Mhm.
This is your opportunity to go to the masterclass. So James, will you please drop the link for the masterclass? Masterclass is for free. That's how most of you guys got in here. That's how most of you guys decided that maybe this guy Logan and his wife Katie were some humans that you might want to hang out with on a random Tuesday night, right? All started the masterclass.
Mhm.
So
To be
if you're not,
honest, I just kind of did. Like, I'm just doing and
Perfect.
taking from it, as opposed to getting hung up on like
Yeah.
the minuscule details.
Cool.
But I'll definitely go back and watch it.
So specifically for you,
Mhm.
do you believe sales is a skill?
Yes.
Okay, there was hesitation in there. What do you not believe about it as it being a skill? I guess let me ask you this: do you believe you can get better at it? Do you believe it's something you can get better at, or do you believe it's something that you were born with?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, there's things that people are not born, but they have this natural innate ability to do certain things, and they can either hone them and continue to learn, or they can just stay stagnant where they are and still be great at it.
Do you have the ability to get better at sales? Do you have the ability to get proficient at sales? Do you have the desire to want to get better at sales?
That's the thing. I have the ability to get better. I don't like sales. And I think that's what's holding me back.
Yeah. This is amazing. So, any of you guys who came to Decade a Day, I share everybody what the skill sets are that are needed to be a successful entrepreneur, the traits and the beliefs, right? And this is something that I referenced earlier. One of those skills is a soft skill called emotional intelligence. Okay, I don't talk about this a lot because unless there's a frame of reference to come through, like most people don't understand what it is. But do you understand what the emotional intelligence is?
Yes.
What is it?
To me, it's the ability to connect with people.
Cool. So I'll give you my definition of it, right? And I think it'll be helpful, right? So to me, emotional intelligence is your ability to act despite your emotions. I feel mad. I don't act mad.
Mhm.
Emotional intelligence. I feel fear. I act with courage. Emotional intelligence. Okay. I don't like sales. I practice sales anyway. Emotional intelligence. So it's not a skill of sales that is limited in this moment. It's our emotional intelligence, right?
Mhm.
Emotions are not commands. Which means that you can feel an emotion and you can act despite those. Logically, does your business need you to get better at sales?
Yes.
Okay. So logically, are you willing to do whatever it takes in order for your business to grow in this season, for this
Yes.
moment? Okay. So if those two things are true, are you willing to do what it takes in this specific situation, which is to learn the skill of sales and not just do just enough, but to actually like decide I'm going to be great at sales and not do it for you, Steph, but do it for your business. Do it for
Right.
the reason that you're doing this. Like, is it for your family? Is it for your community? Right? Why are you doing this? When we're able to take the focus off of us and our issues and our problems,
Mhm.
and we focus on how we're serving our families, our team, our communities, all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier to do what's required rather than to do what we want to do. Right?
Yes.
And so this game, your focus is not on the skill of sales, it's on the skill of emotional intelligence. And so this is one example of how you can learn this skill is by doing things you don't like doing and doing them anyway, doing the smile on your face and
Right.
getting really good at it. Right. And
I'm better than I was yesterday and the day before that.
if you make that your focus, screw the sales. If you just focus on, I'm going to acquire the skill of emotional intelligence, focus on that. That's your focus. And the reason I need to get better at emotional intelligence is so I can be a better, whatever you like, whatever it is for you. Like, why are you doing this? Why do you have a business? Why do you go through all the shit stuff? Why?
For my family. Sorry, guys. And to just help as many people as possible. Whether it's through employment or service or within the community. And make an impact. None of this is about me.
Give Steph some love, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Like Steph swimming towards us, all of us, not just me, but all of us. Right?
Leave it to Lucas. So yeah.
So this right here is super important, and this is actually where you need to focus when you're having this conversation in your head, because like this conversation has been had, it will continue to be had. And when you start looking at why is it you're doing this? Because I'm here to help my family. I'm here to help the community. I'm here to make an impact, right? Like those are the goals. But Katie said this really, really well, and I think it's super important for everybody else to hear this as well. Sequence matters. Okay. You can't help your family. You can't help your team. You can't help your community. You can't help the world if you can't freaking help yourself. So while you need to understand that where you're going is outward, the one way you're going to get there is when you continue to look inward.
Mhm.
Right? You become a better human every day, right? Emotional intelligence, sales, kindness, persistence, consistency. Like these are all things that you're finding ways to show yourself evidence every single day of the character that you're building, who you are. You already have these things. Here's the funny part. Let me I'm gonna take my words and put them back in here for a second. It's not building, it's real, it's realizing. Like you are already all these things. They're already within you. You need to find opportunities every single day just to show the evidence that you already have these things, so you can continue to give yourself confidence to believe that you have emotional intelligence, that you have the ability to convince, to influence,
Mhm.
to help, to serve, right? Because really, what is sales? Now we go back directly to sales. Like, is sales serving?
Yeah.
Can you actually serve anybody without a transaction?
No.
Even if it doesn't have to do with money, like there's still a transaction. That's why I said that, like, many of you guys on here have paid to be on here. And then you guys pay for the masterclass, right? But the cost wasn't money. The cost was your time and attention. That's what you guys put into this. Okay, so there's always a cost. Okay. And so one of the greatest things I learned was actually from Dr. Kashi. Another great thing. So I love this guy. I don't know if we dropped a link for Dr. Kashi, but Katie, if you haven't dropped it, or if James, you haven't dropped it, please drop the link for Dr. Kashi. Go follow Dr. Kashi on Instagram.
His podcast is on there too. It's awesome.
Podcast, so good, so good. The transformation is in the transaction, right? That's one thing I heard from him, and I was like, I didn't get it at first, but the transformation is the transaction. And then I realized that, like, the transaction was the commitment, right? When all of a sudden you reach into your wallet and you take out your credit card and you decide to pay for something, you're making a commitment. And that decision is where the transformation starts, right? And so the most powerful thing you can do, Steph, is you can get someone to make a decision. And so when you're on a sales call, do you think it's like you versus them? Do you think it's like combative? Like, okay, let me get you, right? I'm gonna get that wallet. Or you're like, I'm just gonna ask questions. I'm gonna see if I can help this person. And by the end of it, I'm gonna help them make a decision. Can you control that? Can you help them make a decision? Either way.
Absolutely.
So if that was your only goal at the end of each sales call, could you do enough sales calls in order for you to have the practice to become proficient at it? If that was your mindset of just like, there was no expectation behind making a sale. There was no expectation behind anything, which is your only goal was to be a really good listener, to be really focused, to serve the person under the phone and help them make a decision. Either way.
Yes.
Do you think you get on enough sales calls for you to be like, okay, like start to listen and hear more and like help people make a decision? Right. So that's all sales is. Just helping someone make a decision. And you have that skill. You were born with it. Now it's time for you to realize it. Right. And you know what? If you can't help them, then tell them and give them a resource. Give them a different cleaning company. Give them somebody else. Like go do the work beforehand and realize that if you're this niche and you don't serve these other niches and you're getting a lot of these other people who are calling, like, go figure out how to serve that person. Right? That way you're always a value. Okay. So
thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Like, that was amazing. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. And
You can always count on me for that.
we can always count on you. And that's the thing that's most important.
Mhm.
Right? Because you're consistent. You always show up. So take that and carry it over to whatever you're focused on. Because now you have that trait. Boom, that's you, Steph. You can always count on you.
Mhm.
You can always count on you to make decisions despite your emotions. You can always count on you to serve your business. We can always count on you to learn the skill sets, to share it with everybody else. Like, take that, right? Like, that's the mindset. You just keep taking that. And that's how you grow this thing. Cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Steph, that was amazing. That was amazing. All right, guys. Give Steph some love. I know she's already getting some love inside the chat, but give her some more love. That's what I'm talking about. People swimming towards
Appreciate
us.
you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you. It was awesome. You were not the only one who had that question. You're not the only one who felt those feelings. So you helped so many people. Like, yes. Did you help yourself? Yes, but you helped so many other people by just asking the question. The same advice I gave you, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to everybody on here, right? So if you heard that, that wasn't just for Steph. Like, that was for everybody on here who has that same issue. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go to Adi and then Tyler here in a second. But before we get there, we're going to drop the link for the vision coaching application. Okay. So we're gonna drop the link for there. Now, just like anything, there's going to be some stipulations, right? Some rules. First stuff is like, you can only be on, like, if you're not on here and you're watching the recording, like, sorry about it, right? But the link it's in there now. It's in there. The link is in there. So I'm doing this for 5 people, right? Now, I already have 3 people who I'm already doing it with. And you heard Jessica earlier. She's one of the people. And there's a couple other people who I'm already doing this with. So there's actually 2 spots that are I'm going to open this up for, right? The reason that I'm doing this, and I've been very upfront with the people I'm doing with right now, is that, like, I just want to test it. I'm just, like, genuinely curious, like, to see if this framework, this vision meeting, it works in more than just our little cleaning business in Bozeman, Montana. So my curiosity is getting the best of me. The second is that I generally enjoy it. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy helping. I get fulfillment off it. It solves one of my core needs. It's something that I would do, which would make sense, right? Yeah. So doing for 5 people. It's 6 weeks, absolutely free. And so the link is in there. Now, obviously, there's gonna be more people who apply than just 2 people who are on here, right? So if you do not get in with these first 2 people, it's okay. Because if you apply and you meet the criteria, which I'll explain here, what the remaining criteria is, then I'll put you on a wait list. And as one person cycles out, then you can cycle in. Okay, so while 2 people will get it immediately, if you guys are patient enough and you grow your businesses enough, which I'll explain what the second half of this is, then you have an opportunity to get the vision coaching for free for 6 weeks, right? Again, I'm opening this to 5 spots. And once those 5 spots are filled, then if those people, or once those people filter out, then next person will move in. Okay. Again, like, this is something I'm doing really for fun. And it's just a way for me to, like, be able to solve that itch of doing fun shit without going and starting a new business or creating problems or, blowing up any of my current stuff, which has been a problem in the past that I'm learning from. So go apply for that. And there's like 2 things that you must be eligible for, right? Like, just like how you guys will listen to Alex later, like, you got to be able to, like, in order for them to help any businesses, like, you have to get to a certain point. Like, for them, it used to be you got to get to 1 to 3 million, and then now it's 1 to 3 million profits, or they say EBITDA, but that's just a fancy word for just saying profits, right? So they keep on leveling up their criteria. So that's how this will probably eventually go. We'll probably start to level it up, but for right now, you have to have at least a revenue of $10,000 every single month, or you at least have to have hit a $10,000 month, and you have to have been, and you must have 6 months of data, right? So you have to go back 6 months of data. Okay, that's it. So at least $10,000 and 6 months of data, which brings me to my next thing is going to drop the new vision coaching sheet in there. So obviously a part of this is that you must actually go backtrack your data. And so everyone who I've worked with, they've gone and they backtrack their data. Is it super, super fun? I don't know if Jessica's still on here. Yeah, she is. Is it really, really fun to go back and track all your data?
The real question would be directed to Lucas because he
Yeah.
did it. I was lazy.
It's a challenge. It's work, right? It's like I gotta go find it. I'm not really good at finding the data, and then I gotta do it for 6 months, right? But part of the process. So that's it. So if you meet those criteria, even if you don't meet those criteria, like you can still apply. And then once you get to $10,000 revenue and you have at least 6 months of data, then you can be eligible. So that seem fair, for everybody? Are those fair things? I asked Katie. She seemed like they were pretty good. Does that seem fair, Katie? I don't know. I'll ask you again, I guess.
I think it seems fair.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I don't have to do it all. So I can just do 0 people, but so I guess 2 people right away will get the coaching, and then after that, as long as you continue to grow your business and you've been in business for 6 months, and you'll be on a wait list. And when spots open up, next person will roll in. So cool. And you guys get access to that new vision coaching sheet, which is like really, really good. And there's a tutorial video on there on how to use it. It is like, again, regardless of whether you get the opportunity to coaching with me or not, like go take that vision coaching sheet and use it every single week. And man, so valuable. Just that alone, I was like, man, this is so good. So cool. Thank you, James. All right. Is that cool? Is that cool, everybody? Cool. James, we did another thing. We dropped the vision recordings as well. So again, if you got here late, we dropped the vision recordings in here earlier. So we'll drop it one more time. This is going to be the last time that we drop the recordings. So there's all the recordings previously, and also all the recordings that'll be into the future. And so we'll continue to put those in there. And so you can literally watch us go from 30,000 to 100,000. And then you continue watching, you'll see us go from 100,000 to 150 to 160. That's 2 million, 166. So that's the goal. That is the goal. All right. Brian, who am I getting ready to raise your hand? What's
Oh
your
man,
name?
that was too much time passed.
Say it. Say it.
Is it Idahi? Idahi? Idahi.
Ada E. That's good. Ada E. All right. Ada E, you're up, girl. What's going on? So first off,
Hello.
before you come on here, I just want to give you some love. So Ada E was out here last weekend. So if you guys were watching any of my socials, you guys saw her on here. Her and boyfriend Jared came out all the way from South Carolina, and we had a great time. I won't speak for Ada E, but like we had a fantastic time. And yeah, just appreciate the weekend you were out here, and super excited for to hear kind of what you've done in the last couple days, and of course what questions you have for us. So
yeah, thank you. It was awesome. That's how I felt about it. So just kind of an update. We got stuck in Dallas and had to come home a day late because our flight got canceled. Couldn't find staff for us apparently.
nice.
But I used that opportunity to go ahead and finish posting that job thing that I was supposed to do that same night. The job ad. Wasn't able to do it because I had to get verified through Indeed, and the time. Yeah, I missed the time. So anyways, 2 hours after posting that job ad, I got over 100 applicants, which is awesome. I had to pause it because I'm like, missing a day of work kind of really put me behind with other stuff. So I'm like, I got to slow this down. So I've been actively going through. Yeah, it's been awesome. So I think I've got some pretty good nuggets in here. I'll start scheduling interviews on Friday and start building my team, which would be cool.
Dude, that's insane. Okay, so wow, I didn't know you got that. Last time you texted me, you got 45, but you got 100. That's insane. Okay, so this is really cool, and I think this the reason why this is cool. So Adi, will you, again, if you don't mind being a little vulnerable and kind of sharing kind of what was like one of like specifically to this, like what was one of your limiters that you came in that you were like a problem that you were trying to solve? Like what was that big problem specifically to the job applicants?
So evidently my previous job ad that I had posted was not as eloquent as the ones that Logan and Katie wrote. I basically just am a very straightforward person. I don't really. So basically, I just kind of did not paint a very pretty or fun picture of my job because I just wanted people to know, hey, this is hard work. Like if you're going to work here, it's going to be hard. But that didn't get me a lot of applicants. So I used the job ad that Katie and Logan provided, and it definitely worked. So, so yeah, it was really great transition.
Yeah. And I think there was like, I think the second piece of that was just like because the original job applicant didn't work, then all of a sudden it just became that it was hard to find good people in Florence, South Carolina, right? Which became like, okay, well, if there's not good people, then what do I do? Right. And I think like again, that's not your problem, like that's a problem that a lot of people also have is like we have a bad experience, we have one failure or a couple failures, and all of a sudden we're like, man, we just can't find good people, right? And I think it's more of just the shift of like the belief that there is actually good people out there, and it's my job. Again, it's back to taking the responsibility. It's not them, it's on me. It's like I need to attract the right type of person, right? So
Yes, 100%. I think what I was failing to do the first time was, well, first of all, I had values, but not any that were clearly communicated on the job ad itself. And so because of that reason, I wasn't probably attracting the kind of people that I would want on my team. So the job ad that Logan and Katie had listed the core values that aligned with me. And so it definitely, I think, helped filter out, and I'm sure the sign-on bonus helped too, but it definitely filtered out the people that know that they wouldn't want to work in a place that has those certain core values.
yeah, that's awesome. And another piece we did too is like we worked on the signing bonus too. Like we walked through the process, we explained how it worked, and like ultimately, like if you adjusted it, you changed it to what made sense for your business, right? Like,
Yes. And at first, so the sign-on bonus on the ad was $1,000. And in the moment, I only wanted to commit to 500, but something that you said, Logan, really resonated with me and sat with me because I do believe in investing in your team. They are your field workers, are the ones who are going to deliver the services that you put out there. So you said, don't sell your employees short. And that really, really sat with me until pretty much I decided, like, you're right, I don't need to sell them short because I know what this type of work requires, and I know the type of expectations that I have, and they should 100% be rewarded for that. So 1,000 is much better than 500.
yeah, I was like, I'm a huge component of let's not lower the bar, let's raise the bar. So like if we're gonna make it 1,000, then what do we need to do to make it make sense for them to make $1,000? Like let's make them do more shit, not less.
And plus, like everything that the incentives were for gaining that $1,000, I mean, it helps the business. So why not? Like, what could harm? Like, they're helping the business, I'm helping their pockets. Like, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's awesome. And back to Steph's conversation too about the sales. It's like when we just are able to make decisions based on math and less emotions. Like if we spend $700 and we make $1,257, how often do we want to make that trade? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yes, let's do that more times. Now, can we make that trade better if we convert a couple more sales? Of course. But in the current moment, like let's continue to do that same thing. And we did the math. This is actually something really powerful that we did. This is like now, as much as I feel like I gave a ton to everybody on here, like the decade in the day people, like you guys have access to the calculator, the cost of an employee. We went over that. And like just by knowing how much it actually cost to acquire an employee, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, so this is actually how much it cost me to acquire an employee. But on the other side, this is how much I actually make per employee. So when you're able to look at your employee as an investment rather than a cost, how do I spend more money? It's like I need to spend more money, not less. Right. And that's like when we went over that, it was almost like a light bulb. It was like, oh my gosh, like this is like an employee is like it's an investment. Right. And again,
100%.
just be really clear, like you guys who are in decade and day, you guys have that. Okay, you guys have access to that. Everybody else is not in the masterclass. Sorry. Maybe one day, but right now you guys don't get that. So, but that right there was like it's so important just to know your data and to be able to say, you know what, like we spend $1,200 to acquire a new Sparkle Boss. And so we do the math on it, and we know that it takes us this many job ticket hours in order for us to be able to break even. And then once we know what break even point is, all of a sudden we start to see where our Sparkle bosses are, like how long they're making it. And as long as they make it past that, it's like every single hire was a good hire. Even if they only made it 4 weeks, even if they made it 2 months, like they still made it past our point of getting our money back on that person. Cool. Like, let's hire more. We need to hire more, not less. Right. And so that was something that you and I went over, and all of a sudden I saw in your eyes, was like, oh my gosh, light bulb, investing in people. So.
Yes. Yeah. I love the empowerment pay, and yes, which is actually what my question is about. Because as I start interviewing, I definitely want to make sure I understand some of the things. These probably aren't super strong questions, but just things that have been on my mind.
Cool.
So regarding empowerment pay and making sure that your people get paid what they deserve because they're working. So my first question was, when a client gets a discount that's unrelated to a complaint. So like I like to do seasonal discounts. How does that work into the tech's pay? Are they impacted by that discount as well?
Great question. It's a Katie question, 1000%. Katie, you've been kind of quiet tonight. You okay today?
You won't shut up. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
Right. It's true. Hey, every joke has a half truth to it, so it's fair.
We do not let that impact our cleaners' pay. So even when we run like the free clean voucher, they get paid as if that free clean voucher was not there.
That's good.
So it's an after the fact discount.
So
Awesome.
how does that actually work from, like, can you explain how that works from an actual accounting standpoint? Because she uses ZenMaid, a couple of them use ZenMaid. Like, how do you actually?
Yeah. So I don't know, I can't speak to any other platform except for ZenMaid. So in
We're just speaking
ZenMaid, if
ZenMaid.
you enter the service price and then you enter a discount, that service that is generated, the service price is what generates the revenue for payroll. So as long as you put the discount in the discount line, it should not affect the revenue generated for payroll. Now, if you just take it out of the service and don't let the client see the discount, it does affect the payroll. So always put discounts in the discount line if you want your techs to not be penalized for them.
So give me a situation of why you would want your techs to be penalized for a lower price.
A correction claim rate discount with a client complaint.
Yeah. Cool.
So we also have a partnership with Cleaning for a Reason. So we clean for cancer patients in the Valley. We'll do completely free cleanings. And same thing, our techs get paid as if it was a paid service, but we give 100% discount. So the service price is marked at full and the discount is just 100% of what the service price is. And then when we run payroll, it runs off of the service price. So the tech gets paid appropriately.
That's really good, Katie. That's a great question. Adi, like, that's a fire question. I bet people got value from that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Thanks, Katie. That was perfect. That's exactly what I was wondering. And I haven't played around in ZenMaid enough, but I do remember when we reviewed that together this weekend, so it's in here. Okay. All right. So my second question is also empowerment pay, and I know we talked about it a little bit this past weekend, but there's a lot of stuff, so I just want to retouch on that. So for a team clean, so let's say you have 3 people on this big, huge first-time deep clean on a huge house. Each person is in a different tier. So one's getting 43, 38, and 30. How does that work if the percentage is over 100?
You don't get paid. No, I'm just kidding.
Gotcha.
So this is a great question as well. So you have to divide the total service price by the number of techs that are there first. In ZenMaid, it automatically calculates this for you. So you don't have to do anything except for just put in the percentage into payroll and it'll automatically calculate however many techs were there. So let's say you have 3 people at a $1,500 clean. They are each only going to have a $500 revenue commission share. Of that $500 that is their third, they get 30% of, 38% or 43% of. So you divide it by the number of techs that are there. They're not generating the revenue themselves in total. So they are not given that revenue in total. They're only doing a third of the work at the clean. So therefore they get to take home a third of that revenue for their commission share.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I understand this, because again, I don't do ZenMaid. I don't touch anything. So the way I understand that is that if I have $1,500 clean and I have 3 cleaners on there, and then I go to run the payroll, ZenMaid actually does all that for me. I actually don't have to do anything. I just have to put in at the end of the week, depending on what tier they're in. So the only thing I got to know is what tier they're in. And that's going to dictate all their cleans, not just that one clean that they were a team clean on. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So,
Yep.
So Adi, if that makes sense to you, then basically you don't need to know, like, as long as you have 2 cleaners assigned, ZenMaid does the work. And then at the end, when you go run your payroll, you just need to know how many job taker hours they had total, and then assign a percentage to that. And it'll automatically take 43% of all the cleans they did, which in this case would include a team clean along with all the solo cleans that they did.
I think you just
Okay, that one.
more, Logan.
Yeah, I said, I think I got what Katie said, but I got a little lost in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I guess I'm trying to figure it out because I don't actually know. Is that how would you reword that, Katie?
I think so if it's a $1,500 clean with 3 people there, each tech does not make a percentage of $1,500 because you would be over 100% and you would not make a profit at all. So if there's 3 techs on a $1,500 clean, you divide $1,500 by 3. So each tech is basically rewarded $500 in revenue. And of that $500, then they either get 30% of $500, 38% of $500, or 43% of $500.
Okay.
This equation is done for every single clean in payroll that ZenMaid will calculate. So each clean is calculated individually. If there's 1 tech there, they do get the full revenue share, just a 30, 38, or 43% of that full revenue. But it will automatically do this in the ZenMaid payroll.
Amazing. Thank you for making
Okay,
it
so
so
I
much
have
simpler. Yeah, go for it.
Oops, sorry. Okay, so I have a follow-up question on that, Katie. And this might be a little bit getting too far into the weeds, but just curious. So because there are different tiers, I would imagine some are probably stronger candidates than other, whether they just work more hours or for whatever reason. There's usually one person pulls more weight, right? Like let's say there's a team lead or something. I guess my question is, how is that fair? Like, how do you avoid having creating like a bad culture between the workers? Like, let's say tier 3 person, they're getting the same split as the other 2 people, but they're doing significantly more work because they're more experienced and have that, just have that speed or whatever under their belt.
They need to teach other people how to pull their own weight.
Okay.
Put it on them.
Oh.
Be a leader. I mean, in my opinion, leaders are people who actually delegate stuff.
Okay.
So they become the leader in saying, I know I hate bathrooms. I'm sending you to the upstairs bathroom. I'm sending you to the downstairs bathroom, and I'm going to do the living room that is a light dusting and vacuuming.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Cool. Okay. Great response.
Yeah, that was a great question.
That's a fire response.
Okay,
right,
well,
keep
that's
going.
all I got.
That's all. You got no. There's more. There's more.
That's kind of all I have at the moment. Yeah, that's all I have. I'm sorry.
Perfect,
I'm
Nadia.
sure I do have more.
Yeah.
I'll think of more.
You think of more. We'll connect next week. So you good. You go think some more problems.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
I appreciate
I'm
you.
on Eastern time, you guys. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna eat dinner and hop off. It's getting late. I still gotta go through these applications.
Go get him, Adi.
Yeah.
Thank you, you guys. Y'all are awesome. Good luck, everyone.
Appreciate you. Amazing. All right. We got Jose and Tyler. This is funny because we have Jose who's on the East Coast as well. He's over in New York, and Tyler's on the West Coast. He's like it's just now coming into 7 o'clock. It's like the sun's probably still up. All right. Before we pull Tyler on here, I want to we haven't talked about this, but we're doing the ZenMaid Summit next week is what it is. That was actually one whole reason that we started these Q&As is Katie and I got asked to speak at the ZenMaid Summit, which is pretty cool. And we're doing our presentations next week, July 24th. So how many of you guys have actually registered? It's free. It's free to register. How many of you guys have actually done that? All of you guys done that? Well, if you haven't, shame on you. Support, man. Support us. James, will you drop a link for everyone in there who hasn't had the opportunity yet to show Katie and I some support and go to the ZenMaid Summit and go watch us. Go give us some love, some interaction there. Show up to the presentation. I don't know, something like that. That'd be amazing. So yes. So if you guys haven't, go register for that. This is the last Q&A we'll do leading up to that. So again, thank you guys for being on here. And Katie, thank you for actually I told Katie like she's gonna do a presentation and she's like, okay. And then when it came time to do the presentation, she was actually really pissed at me. She's like, I don't have time to do this. It's figured out.
Yeah.
I told them we were going to do it. So,
Well, the reason, okay, so going back to sales, this is like actually a golden nugget. Going back to sales, Logan was like, I mean, I have the presentation. All you have to do is just say what's on the slides. And I was like, okay, I can definitely do that.
which was true, but
The slide deck he gave me was Logan's stories. Like, I can't tell Logan's stories. That's not me. So I was so mad because I had to go back and, figure out what story I was going to tell to draw in. Oh, he sold me.
I said that you'll have to change the story. I said I have the foundation. You just have to like those are my stories. So you might have to change the stories. But I was like, you're also there. You were there, so you could probably like live the stories from your point of view. Anyways, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. So, all right, Tyler Stowers, what's up, my dude? Stowers.
No, you got it the first time. Stowers.
Amazing. Tyler's on the West Coast, Sacktown.
Yep.
He came out to Decade in a Day probably about a month and a half ago, two months ago.
Yeah, early June.
Yeah, month and a half ago. It's awesome. All right, my friend, what's going on?
Well, so for our context, my Kellen and I, my partner, we're doing everything in our business right now, including the cleaning, and our schedule is such that our life schedule with kids and my W-2, that's linked to my housing. As cleanings are starting to come in, I'm starting to see in the near kind of blurry future a time where we got to pull the trigger and hire the first cleaner. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, or at least myself internally, to like become a great cleaner. And we have no cleaning experience prior to this, because in my mind, this is the story I'm telling myself, the only cleaning expertise that will exist in our business forever and ever will be generated from our experience in these first couple weeks. I know that's not true. And so I guess my question to you guys is, because we, like you, see ourselves rotating out of the cleaning role pretty quickly. How do you, I would expect, aspire to continue the overall cleaning caliber of the business to improve over time, but yet people will be rotating through. Where does that expertise come from? Is it just the SOPs and accountability, or is there an internal process beyond that got place?
Yeah, Brian wants to come in here, and I'm gonna give an answer that's not technical first, and then Brian, you can come in here on this, and then Katie, you can definitely finish this out. But I think to answer your first, the first question is, like, you need to get the ball as far down the field as you possibly can, 100%, right?
Yeah.
Get the bar as far down the field as you possibly can, take it with you. And I actually heard Alex talk about this in a recent YouTube video or a podcast, and he said that he's like, most skills that you learn, like, it takes you about 20 hours to get proficient at it, right? Which basically means that like you're good enough, right? So think about you getting your 20 hours in right now with cleaning, right? Like, that's your goal. You need to get to 20 hours as quickly as you possibly can. Now, the caveat to that is that the remaining time that you spend doing the thing is where your mastery comes from. Okay. In this case, you're not going to be the one who masters cleaning. You're just going to get the ball to the 20-yard line, for example, which is 20 hours. Okay, just far enough that you're proficient enough that you know what a decent cleaner looks like when they come in. Like when somebody comes in with experience, like, okay, this person can get the ball from the 20 to the 30. Right. And that's how you're looking at when you start to bring people on your team, is you're trying to get people to continue to take the ball down the field. Okay, so that's from like a strategy. Okay, now Brian, you want to come in and share what you were going to say?
No, we watched, I mean, same podcast or same YouTube video that he dropped the other day, but I think it was Katie last week that said, be honest, look for those things that you don't have right now.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a master, but just find someone that can be that person and be honest with them and tell them where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Don't put all that pressure on yourself to be that, have your W-2 job and a family and any type of social life. You have to sacrifice some of it, but
yeah,
don't sacrifice all of it to be the best cleaner in the world, because that's not where you want to go.
Yeah.
So find that person that can help get you there. And that's your first hire.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think that's fire. Katie, I don't think you have anything else that you want to talk about. I think that was great. But what Brian said is just be honest, be truthful, be vulnerable, like all those things combined.
Yeah, and then also just sell the vision. Like, get excited about. I teased, and Audie hopped off here, but I literally teased her because at the Decade in a Day, she was like, yeah, I told the people that I was going to hire that I barely pay above minimum wage, and it's a really freaking hard job. And I was like, who wants to come work this? Like yeah. Sell the vision, get excited about it. Like, tell them what the opportunity is, and then lean on them. Like, have expectations. Like, this is where I got this to. Like, I expect you to improve this. And I want you to show me exactly how you are improving it. Because one day we're going to have to hire another one of you, and you're going to actually have to train this person. So as you're doing this, think about how you're going to teach the next person. I'm teaching you. This is my first time. So hopefully together through repetition, we will figure this out together. Okay. And I think as far as like continuing to grow SOPs and get better at things, I wish I had, when I figure that out, I will completely share it with everybody, but that is our biggest inconsistency right now, is just one technician to another technician. There's inconsistency across the board in the outcome of every clean. Some people fold the toilet paper a specific way, some people, and I think it comes down to setting the client's expectations properly. Again, being honest and transparent. We have a team of 18 techs. We serve consistency, meaning we will show up when we say we're going to show up. I'm going to send one of 18 people. They all have different personalities. They all have different, quirks about them, but I promise you we will be there. Like, for us, that is more important to sell than you will get the same tech every time on the same day, regardless of whether or not they're alive. Like, that's not real life.
So good. I think there's two things in there. The first thing, Katie, I think it hit with some people is the vision, right? So like, you must know the vision first, Tyler, which again, something that we spent time on. And so it's for you and Kellen to continue to talk about the vision and share with them, like, to sell yourself first. You are the most important sale, numero uno. And then it's for you to start to enroll people into your vision, right? It's the reason why we did some of the processes that we did. We want to enroll close people, friends, and let them share in the vision. And then of course your teammates, like these are the people that you 100% need to enroll into your vision, because they're the ones who are actually doing the work. Like, they're the ones who are in the field. They're the ones who are dealing with angry customer. They're the one dealing with the day-to-day crap. And when you give them a vision to buy into, it actually makes it more rewarding for them to push through the crap that they have to deal with. Right. So I think the vision is important, and especially when you're first getting started, like what Brian and Katie both just said, is like, just like, let them in. They're like, oh my God, I get to be part of this. And you sound like the Amazon story. It's like, Jeff Bezos started in his garage, right? Like, just like one employee, or Steve Jobs, whatever, whoever your entrepreneur is, like you can share that story, and like you can basically equate your story to Steve Jobs. Like, oh my God, I'm working for the next Steve Jobs. Like, this is cool, right? I want to do things. And like the more that you can enroll that and them into that vision, like the more leeway you're going to get. Right. But first, honestly, it starts most with you. Like, you must have the vision. You must continue to think about it and be the vision. So.
Great question.
Did that
Great.
answer your question?
Yeah, great stuff. It's yep, it did.
Yeah. So let go, basically, right? Just like, let it go.
That's what I was stuttering over, is like
Yeah.
that conclusion, because I can rebuttal all day long about, well, what about in 2.5 years from now when cleaners, how are they going to know which vacuum line? So, but that's the let go.
Yeah, just let it go.
It's funny because I want to get all technical, and Renee posted this in here too. She's like, yeah, inconsistency with folding blankets, vacuum lines, like she gets it. But the end of the day is like, what kind of value are you bringing to the client?
Yeah.
Is the value truly consistency on exactly how you fold the blanket every single time? Or is it freaking showing up when you say you're going to show up? Like, pick the value that you are going to provide for the client. If that truly is consistency across the board, like, when you figure it out, let me know, because we need help in that department too.
Well, they're telling us so far in the cleans, like I'll walk away from a clean going, shit, I don't know about that one. And then we get compliments, tips, great feedback. I'm like, what? And so it's quality in this case is equaling just meeting spec and meeting an expectation. And as long as we do our job on the front end to know what those expectations are, we hit them, and it's gravy. We're moving on. So I'm learning that also on the ground simultaneously.
Totally. As long as you ask them their most, peeved point, and you hit that, I promise you they won't see anything else.
Yeah.
Great paint off wall the other day, and it was like, we got tipped for it. Oh shit.
Awesome. So good. I think there's another thing in there I want to touch on that Katie said. Like, it's just knowing your value, right? And if you're going to run a scaled cleaning company, just when you have multiple cleaners, like, just know that, like, it's a condition of business. It's not a problem to be solved. It's just a problem to be managed. Back to what we talked about in the very beginning. It's like, it's not like it's like we're trying to solve this problem. It's just like, right now it's about a 7. Like, how do we get it to a 6? How do we turn this problem of inconsistency from a 7 to a 6? Like, let's figure out that. Like, what's one thing we can do, right? But we're not on the expectation that we're going to eliminate it. We're not going to eradicate it. It's just like, it's always going to be part of the game. Is that there's going to be some inconsistencies when it comes to the cleaners. So what do we got to do? We just continue to sell the vision hard. It's like, we're going to show up. We're going to focus on this. And this is us talking about what our value is. Like, again, I want to continue to, like, this is what we do. Like, if you guys can have different values, you can have a different angle. But what we have realized, in order for us to get where we want to go to $2 million, we're going to need 25 cleaners. Like, that's what our model is. In order to get to $2 million, we need 25 cleaners that are averaging 30 hours a week. So I know the math. I know that 25 cleaners are not going to but you know what? AI is coming on pretty quick, but I'm not gonna be able to clone 25 of our top cleaner. Like, I know that, like, not anytime soon, right? Hopefully one day, like, it'd be really cool if we figure that out. But right now, it's not an option. So we're going to continue to set the expectation with the client that we're going to consistently show up, because we have 25 cleaners. We will always show up. Now, we get the same cleaner? Absolutely not. Will we try? Absolutely. And if we mess up, will we come back and fix it? Absolutely. Right? That's what the consistent message that we deliver to the client. Right? And then, do we try to do better? Of course, right? We try to make things more consistent, but we understand that it's just also going to be part of the game. Like, there's going to be some inconsistencies. Cool. Tyler, anything else you got, my friend?
No.
Appreciate you. Thanks for sharing your stats in the group.
Yeah, you bet. That was great. It was I love this group, man.
Yeah. Appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate you. All right. Jose, what's up, my dude?
Hey, Logan and Katie, thank you for this. You guys just continue dropping gems every week live.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Jose, if you guys weren't here last week, Jose was on here last week as well, but Jose's in the New York City area, right in the city. Are you like what borough are you in?
Manhattan.
Manhattan. Amazing. We had a guest staying on our Airbnb this week, and he stopped me, and he was from Manhattan as well, and it was he was awesome. He was amazing human, but first thought of is Jose, right? Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, dude.
Yeah,
What's going on?
I was just dropping a little bit case studies, live case studies, and things that I've been testing with, when it comes to follow up transportation. Here transportation with the parking is a little bit hard. It's a horror story. I mentioned to that in the past, and a little bit about the sales, and a little bit about what you was talking about later about listening and trying to see what the client wants. So doing the follow-ups on the Facebook funnel leads, I got 3 appointments for next week. 2 of those, like one of them was like a month and a half old, and I just kept on following up. And so I got that appointment for next week, and another old one. So it's crazy that one of them, it was far away. And because it was far away, I was like, let me test the price. So I gave her a price of $70 over of what the normal price would be. And she said, okay, she was happy and everything. But I tested it. I was like, okay, it's far away. I really don't want to go all the way over there. Like have my wife to go all the way over there. But I tested it, and she said, okay. And it's not a bad client. She has a small apartment. So she was fine with it. But a guy, he called me today. I don't know where he found my number, but he was calling about pricing, and it was close from my house. It was an amazing area. But this guy, he said something about that he was trying to find out prices, right? And, when people call me about prices, I really don't like to give them a price, because what they do is they just shop you around, right? And I was honest with him, I started talking to him to see what is it that he needs. And once he mentioned about, he wanted to know price, I was like, okay, let's do something. Have you had a cleaner before? And he said, yeah, I actually do have a cleaner. And then I said, okay, so why is it that you need a cleaner if you already have a cleaner? He said, no, he's trying to get a price. And then I told him straight. I told him, hey, you know something? With the price you're paying paying the cleaner, you're not going to get another price like that. So, I was just listening to him. And because I was asking questions, I didn't just give him a price. And then he gave me his price. So awesome. That was that. And then another lady, she had a real nice apartment. She said it was super clean, but she didn't like her other cleaner that she had because she was getting there late. And I was just like relating with her. I told her, hey, you know what? I run several operations, and I totally get what timing means. So we're looking to get there and solve your problems. And she was happy with the price. And she said, you know what? I'm happy with paying the price because I value time, so it's like listening to the person and kind of like relating with them, giving third-party stories like real estate.
Always.
And then what I'm doing now is after I talk to them over the phone, and I basically close them. After I close them, I told them, I asked them, do they have like a bucket vacuum cleaner? Because we normally take our vacuum cleaners, but I tell them, hey, something, the ladies that work for us, sometimes they have to carry all these things. We normally take our vacuum cleaners, we take our mops and everything, but if you have one, it'll help our cleaners not having to go with all these things over there. Do you have it? So that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's interesting. Again, so if you guys didn't catch this, like Jose is literally like in Manhattan in the city, and different challenges or a different challenge than maybe some of us are facing who are just maybe out in a more rural area, or just not like in a highly dense populated area like New York City, right? The most populated city in America. So interesting challenges. And I think So I guess the one question that I took from that was we're basically just asking questions to try to solve their problem. And you realize that this one person was like way out of was outside of your district, but you just made the price make it make sense, and then they said yes, right?
Yeah, it's like I'm testing to see whether it works or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the guy that he was closer, he was actually looking for like a low ball price. You know what I mean? And he was close, and he actually was in a very high end area. But this lady was far away, and I gave her a high price, and she was like, "Yeah, let's go."
It's awesome. I think that, I think there's two things to that. Number one, like the first thing you said is that you're getting leads who are picking up after, being cold for a month or so, or a couple of weeks. Like,
yep,
dude, like it's challenging when you first get started because you don't have a lead list to go to. And like now, like we have a couple thousand leads. And so like we can reach out to people from years ago, and we're able to like fill a schedule because we have all these leads. And so like when you first get started in a business, like you don't have that. And so now you're starting to get a little bit of that. And so like more like this thing grows itself. So the fact that if we go back to Steph from earlier, like she's got 57 leads that she has in there. She's got 25 on a phone call. So it means there's like 35 people who haven't even got on a phone call yet. Like as long as she continues to reach out to them, eventually she can on a phone call. Maybe she can sell those people. And then those 16 people she didn't close, if she continues to follow up with them, like she'll probably be able to close a percentage of the people that she didn't close the first time. She just continues to ask them. And so that's why this follow-up game, this consistency, this persistence is the real game of business. So the fact that we're able to make money on day one, like you're freaking lucky. Will it always be that way? I don't know. It is the way it is right now, but don't bank on it. That's why you need to continue to get better at business. Right. So like Jose, the reason why you'll be successful is because you have the skill set of follow-up, right? Coming from your other businesses, like you ain't afraid to call people. You ain't afraid to continue to call somebody. You're not afraid to do it over and over and over again until somebody tells you to say stop, and then you're like, are you sure? And they're like, well, maybe. Let's have a conversation. Right?
I'll still call them. I have someone else call them.
And that right there is like winners persist. And I think that is ultimately like if there's one skill set that I would give anyone that would like if there's one thing, it would be persistence. Just if you can persist long enough, you'll eventually accumulate enough reps that you'll be proficient enough to be decent or to teach somebody else how to be decent. So, you got any questions, man?
I'm good, but thank you very much.
Appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, and Jose.
Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you, like, do you have like a strategy when people are asking for prices or no?
Dude, I have been on a sales call for cleaning in a long time, but I think how you handle that would be a great framework to work off of, right? It's just like continuing to like ask questions, and if someone wants to price shop you, just like ask questions, like continue, like why, like what are you looking for, and then again just trying to solve their problem. I think your framework is great. I don't have anything outside of that.
Yeah.
And so
I agree. I agree.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, my dude. Dang, we've been on here for almost 2 hours. Getting hot. Kitty, how you doing over there?
My office is so small, you guys, that if I have my lights on, it gets really hot in here. It's heating up for sure.
It's awesome. Okay, well, Eliana, I know you had a question. I think you saw a question.
I had, but you literally just answered it. I was gonna tell you, like when do we like stop bothering the leads, like following up, but like until they just say no, honestly. It's like that's a worst that could happen.
Never stop bothering people.
Even if they say no kindly, we still bother them until they tell us to like F off, then we'll turn them red.
Yeah. I kind of have the same problem as Jose. Kind of, I'm like in a big city. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Perfect.
So there's like a lot of competition right here, like a lot of cleaning companies.
Yeah.
But
that's good. If there's a lot of competition, that means there's a lot of people. And when there's a lot of people, that means there's a lot of business. And like there's a lot of people who want cleaning services, that either can't find a cleaning service or can't find a cleaning service that can fill their needs.
Yeah, basically I just go on Yelp. I just see all the bad reviews. I write them down and then I like basically improvise. I'm like, we do that better. But I understand it's like it's an infinite game. We're all here just to survive. We're literally not in a competition with each other. So we're just surviving.
Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna do this. We'll go down this rabbit hole. Okay. So I have to. Okay, before I do, to all you guys who are on here, I appreciate you guys for being on for 2 hours. It's been amazing. I want to make sure that you guys, if you guys didn't get the links for some reason, I want to make sure you guys get the link. So James, will you drop the link for the vision meeting recordings, the vision coaching sheet, and the application for the coaching? We dropped that link one more time. That way, anyone who hasn't got that, make sure you guys get that. So again, we're on for about 2 hours. So stay on here an extra hour. So thank you guys for participating, still being on here. There's still a ton of people on here, so must be entertaining enough. Katie, thank you for being on here for as long as you have. I know that I hear the kids wrestling around up there doing something. So okay, but we got to go down this. So Elian, come back to you for a second. So there's two things that I want to touch on. So bothering people and yeah, surviving, right? So your reference points right here lead me into a little bit about what's going on in here, right? So our words are just what comes out of what we think and our thoughts up here, right? And what we've been practicing, our stories. So when it comes to, let's talk about leads first. I think this is actually something that I had a very similar thought process when I first started getting leads, specifically in my fitness business, right? People would actually give me their name, phone number, and email, and their phone, first name, last name, phone number, and email. And they would inquire about my services. And then for some reason, they just wouldn't text me back. They wouldn't come back, or they would schedule an appointment, they wouldn't show, or they would come in for an appointment and they didn't close. And I was like, okay, apparently they don't like my business, right? Apparently they don't like me. And so instead of me, so what I did is I just let them alone for a long time. I just kept on trying to like just get new leads. And then I finally, here's what happened actually. I'll tell you the story that changed everything for me. So I was setting up a new funnel. And so when you guys set up a new funnel using Zapier, there's like a test thing, right? I say like you send a test, and what it does is it actually grabs an actual lead from like ClickFunnels, for example, and then it shoots out. Like in this specific case, I was setting up a new funnel for a what was called like a 12-week challenge, right? And so it automatically grabbed a contact from my ClickFunnels, and then I went through the whole process and I tested it out. And at the end of it, I realized that it actually sent this text message to a lead that had opted in like a year or a year and a half ago. I was like, shit. Like literally, that was my thought. I was like, shit. Right? She texted me back, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but her response was like basically something along the lines of being interested. I was like, okay. And then I followed my script. I got on a phone call. It was a $2,000 sale.
Yeesh.
I was like, oh my freaking God, I'm an idiot. I swear to God. That was legit my thought process. I was like, I'm a freaking idiot. This would have never happened if that didn't accidentally happen. And it was from that moment, I was like, I'm never doing that again. And I made follow-up like something that I did on purpose, not an accident. And what I learned from that, Elian, was that like I was actually not serving these people by not reaching out to them. Because like this girl, after I got to know her, she became a client. She was amazing. Like there was like probably a year in there that she wanted my service, and she was like, I tried to reach out to her, like she didn't do anything about it. And then she was like so grateful when I did reach out to her. She's like, oh my God, like I remember when I opted a long time ago, and then like you reached out to me. I was like, it was just like timing. It was like perfect. I was like, yeah, it was. I did that on purpose, not. And so it's not bothering people. It's like they gave you the information. They inquired for a reason. And so it's actually you serving them to continue to reach out to them and do it in a way that is serving them, of course. Like you don't actually bother them, but it's like, hey, like you opted in for my service, like curious, like, what are your goals? What are you trying to do with this? Right? Hey, we're running this special. Hey, it's Tuesday in the middle of July. Just curious on like, have you found a cleaner yet? Right. And going back to what Jose was talking about with trying to solve the customer's problem on a sale, like you can do the same thing with lead nurture. Like, hey, like you opted in, you reached out to me. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago, whatever it is, and you just find a reason to reach out because you're doing it to serve them, not to bother them.
Yeah, that's true. You got a point. It's they obviously had a pain point if they clicked on the ad.
Yeah.
For
I mean, I don't know anybody in here who's actually doing true cold calling, right? Everyone here's like there's some sort of inbound, whether you're using paid advertising or people are just like coming to your social media or they're calling your phone number, whatever it is. So like you have inbound leads, like people are reaching out to you. Like, what do you mean bothering? Like, they're freaking bothering me. Why are you bothering me all the time? Why are you texting me? Why'd you call my business, girl? Like, I ain't bothering you, you bothering me. Yeah, Michael Ball. He's cold calling realtors, right? And they love it because he actually, although he's cold calling, he's providing value to them, right? Which is the same thing. Like even if you do decide to cold call or like do like mailers or some sort of cold outreach, like always do it from a place of value. So like again, selling yourself is the most important thing you can do. Like, why are you reaching out to them? And I'm like, do you have a service that could actually solve a problem for them?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Will you knowingly reach out to people who you can't help them? Will you actually bother them if you're like, hey, like I actually can't, like I'm gonna reach out to you about doing concrete, or I'm gonna reach out to you about doing something I can't do? Like, yes, then that's bothering them, but can you actually serve them in this capacity?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm like you're making me think because I used to do a lot of door to door marketing, and I was definitely bothering some people. But I would just think about it like I have a diamond in my pocket. It's a law of averages. Whoever wants it, I'm gonna help them.
Yeah. If you've done door to door, like you sold yourself on that, like just understand that doing cleaning, doing a done for you service that people are giving you the contact information is like there ain't nothing bothering about them. Again, like they're bothering you, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that insight.
You want me to go clean your house? You're bothering me, bro. Right. Okay. I forgot the second one I was going to touch on, but I think that was a good one. The bothering. I think that's good for him. Like the more you follow up with somebody, the more value you provide to somebody. And you'd be surprised that how many times that you'll get a client because of your consistency. They're like, man, like this guy just won't stop. And you earn their respect because you actually did work before they became a client. And when somebody sees that, they're like, man, this guy did this much work before I became a client. Like, what is he actually going to do when I become a client of his? And you just need to make sure that that matches / exceeds what you do just to get somebody into your business. Make sure you also keep them.
Yeah, that's
and that's honestly most people's problems as well, is that they actually don't do enough on the backside. That when they get somebody in there, they're like, okay, shit, like now this person's in here, and now they're gonna see who the real me is. So if you really want to do it right, like focus on creating the monster on the back end that you can deliver an amazing communication, amazing service. What, again, back to what Kate talked about before, is like, what are the things you're selling? Now when somebody gets into there, you're like, I got you, right? I got you in here, right? And now I'm going to serve the hell out of you.
for sure.
Right. I think it was like competition or surviving, I think was the other thing you said.
The infinite game.
So, yeah. I think actually coming from that standpoint, if you're thinking of like an infinite game, surviving, yes, I think that's great. But again, instead of just like surviving is like base level, and then let's get into thriving. And like if you just focus on surviving, then you will just survive. You'll just get by. You'll just pay your bills. We've had a conversation, so I have a general idea of kind of where you're at. But yeah, I wouldn't focus on surviving. I would focus on thriving, right? And just knowing that like the minimum is that I will stay in the game. I will always survive, but that's not my focus, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think last time we talked, you were like the thing I was like really having difficult was like just like delegating tasks. But honestly, I've been working on myself, like on myself, girl. I just been like bringing myself up just so I could like bring other people up. Cause the more knowledge I learn, the more like sales secrets or like tips or like whatever I learn, the more I could like bring more value into my people, and then bring them up the same level that I am. And honestly,
Yeah.
that was golden. It's an ongoing process. You gotta be learning every day. You can never turn that off, switch off. You gotta just go work
Yeah.
for the people.
Yeah, just for reference for anyone who's listening, one of the pieces of advice that I gave to Elian, which I'll give all to you again, I'm not just speaking to him, I'm speaking to you guys as well, is, you know, who in here wants great people? Who wants to have a great team? Right? Become the type of person who great people want to work for. Nobody wants to work for an average boss. No one wants to work for somebody who they can't control themselves, they don't respect, they don't want to be like. So if you want to run an amazing business, like, it starts with you, like level yourself up, learn the skill sets, become valuable, so people want to be around you, that you can teach them things. Right. And this is like one of the things that I'm so grateful for having Katie, is that, like, one of the things that we'll do on any interviews, I was like I will sell the hell out of Katie to these people. Like, you get an opportunity to actually work with Katie. Like, do you know what Katie's done? Like, do you know who she is? Like people should be paying money to hang out with Katie, and you get to get paid to hang out with Katie. Opportunity. Right. And so that's all your guys' goals is to be Katie, right? Is to have enough value that people want to work for you. That the value proposition that you give to them is insane. Right. Not only are they going to get paid, but they also get to be around somebody who takes care of themselves, who has the family, who has the marriage, who has the money, who has the lifestyle. Like, again, like, these are all things that we have created, that we also want other people to, like, we want to highlight so other people see that as a way to add value. Right. And not everyone wants all those things, but even if they just want one of those things, plus the fact that they get a employment opportunity, is a bonus. Right. Becomes a better value proposition than the guy down the street or the girl down the street. Right. So awesome. All right, Katie, what do you want to say? You've been on for 2 hours. I've been
I
talking.
think my closing words on that, in elevating yourself, one thing that really allowed me to gain motivation in my leadership abilities was having integrity with my own word, with myself. So if I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, how in the hell can I ask somebody else to do something and then get upset that they don't do it? And it's everything, not just the big ticket items that move the needle forward, but all of the small things. I'm going to wake up the first time my alarm goes off. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week. Having integrity with yourself is the biggest way to gain momentum. And then you can respectfully ask other people to do shit and follow through on it.
That there. You want to get somebody else to do hard shit? Is like, you do hard shit first. Do shit that you don't want to do and do it anyway. So then you have the confidence to have somebody else do shit that they don't want to do. Like, what do you think parenting is? It's the same thing as being a boss. It's like telling people to do shit that you don't want to do, but you do it anyway. And going back to what we talked earlier, again, like, this is important, so I'll say it over and over again. It's not whether you have integrity or not. It's just how much integrity do you have? You know, on the scale of 1 to 10, if you were to rate yourself as integrity being a character trait of yours, like, where are you at? You have 5, you have 6, you have 7, right? You can even break that even further. Like, how much integrity do you have when it comes to your relationships? How much integrity do you have when it comes to your business? Because you'll find that you're stronger in other areas than some, you know. And so, again, the more you can define those, the more you can just be like, okay, you know, my fitness, I'm a 10, right? My nutrition, I'm a 9, right? And then you just continue to go this down. You know, my business, I'm an 8, right? On my family, I'm a 7, right? You just continue to just like give yourself these places where you rate yourself at and be like, okay, so right now, should I be focusing on my 10 out of 10 thing, or should we focus on my 7 out of 10 thing? I think I'm going to put a little more energy into my 7 out of 10 thing. I want to bring that up. Now, if my 10 out of 10 comes down to a 9 and my 7 out of 10 thing comes up to an 8, is that a trade-off I'm willing to work for? Yes or no, right? But ultimately, like, play the math game rather than just like, I am integrity, or I have integrity, I don't have integrity. Like, it's not like, how much integrity do you have? To what degree do you have integrity? Yeah, and I would like to put a number to it. That way you give yourself something that you can move towards. Because if you think that you have integrity, then you'll stop working on it. If you don't think you have integrity, then you're like, maybe it's like, okay, maybe it's too much of a hassle to get started. But it's like, if I'm at 5 and my goal is move to a 6, like, that makes sense to me. I can do that. So, okay, that's fire. So if you want to be a great leader, like, have integrity with yourself. Do the little things and the big things.
Awesome. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah. Elian, thank you. Jose, Brian, Christine, Nick, Autumn, Stephen Crawford. Well, Stephen Crawford's on here. Let's see what I did. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys for hanging on here. Yeah, if you guys are not part of the masterclass, make sure you're yes, James, thank you for dropping the Facebook group. That's a good point. I think you said the Facebook group. If you're not part of the Facebook group, go get in the Facebook group. Build $1 million cleaning business, be part of that group. It's amazing. Again, a lot of people who are in here are leaders in there, always posting, asking questions, being very, very helpful. If you're not part of the masterclass, we're part of the masterclass. That thing it's gold. And that's where the recording will be as well. That's why I wanted to share with that. If you guys are looking for the recording, I'll send an email out, but the recording will be uploaded into the masterclass and the bonus trainings. There's some really good bonus trainings in there. So masterclass is great, but it can use it better. And yeah, thank you guys for being on here late. I know you guys on the East Coast are, it's 10:30, almost 11. People who are in that time zone in front of us, whatever that one is, 9:30, the one that everyone forgets about, and then Mountain and Pacific. It's bedtime now. It's bedtime. So appreciate y'all. Happy Tuesday. We'll see you guys in the Facebook group. And yeah, if you haven't applied, if you want to apply, go apply for the vision coach and get the vision sheet. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the Facebook group.
Bye.